The first thing I felt was the cold, not from the desert morning air drifting through the cracked window, but from my own scalp. My hand moved up on instinct and stopped, smooth, bare, burning. My hair was gone. I sat up in bed, the early light of Sedona spilling across the red sandstone walls of my bedroom. The room was quiet, too quiet for a wedding day. On the pillow beside me lay a single folded note, written in elegant handwriting. Hope your new haircut doesn't ruin my wedding photos. Claire Whitfield, my future daughter-in-law. My chest tightened, but no scream left my throat, only a shallow breath. I forced myself to stand and walk to the mirror. The woman staring back wasn't the woman who built real estate across northern Arizona. She wasn't the woman who raised a son alone after her husband died. No. This woman looked humiliated, stripped. I did not cry. Tears are a luxury for the powerless. On the mahogany dresser, the steel safe sat slightly open. Inside was the envelope, the legal documents transferring $20 million to Ethan and Claire as a wedding gift. The pen for signing was still tucked inside. My fingers hovered over it. For years, I believed that giving them everything would keep my son close. Today, that belief burned away like morning mist over the red rocks. I closed the safe, twisted the dial. Click. The money would stay where it belonged, with me. My phone buzzed. It was Lawrence Kane, our longtime family attorney. Marianne, I'm heading to the chapel early. Do you still want me to bring the final transfer papers? My voice was calm, steady as stone. No, Lawrence, put everything on hold. And tonight, after the reception, come to the house. We're rewriting the will. A long pause. Marianne, did something happen? I looked at my reflection, bald, wounded, furious. Yes, I whispered. I finally opened my eyes. I hung up. The air tasted like iron. My hands trembled, but deep inside, something fierce had awakened. A memory surfaced. Ethan at 8 years old, holding my hand at his father's funeral, promising me he'd always protect me. Now? He was marrying a woman who shaved my head in my sleep and left a perfume-scented note. And he didn't even notice. The doorbell rang. I knew who it was. Rosa Delaney, my hairdresser, my friend for 15 years. She walked in, saw my head, and covered her mouth. Marianne, what did they do to you? I met her eyes in the mirror. They made a mistake, I said. They thought this would break me. Rosa opened a black velvet case. Inside lay a silver-gray wig, soft and elegant. My new armor. As she pinned it into place, the sun rose higher, casting long, blood-red shadows across Sedona's cliffs. By the time she finished, I no longer looked broken. I looked dangerous. They thought they humiliated me. They thought I would quietly smile through their wedding. They have no idea. The mother they tried to destroy just declared war. By the time I stepped out of the house, the sun was climbing over Sedona's red cliffs, painting the sky in gold and flame. I wrapped Ethan's old charcoal gray scarf around my neck, the one he gave me on my birthday years ago. It used to feel like love. Now, it felt like a thread holding together what little remained between us. The driver pulled up near St. Helena's Chapel, a sandstone church nestled between crimson rocks and twisted juniper trees. Guests were already arriving, smiling, laughing, taking photographs beneath the desert sky. No one noticed my perfectly styled silver wig. No one suspected the war quietly unfolding behind my eyes. Inside, the air was filled with white lilies and whispered gossip. I sat in the front pew, hands clasped, back straight. My heart wasn't soft and fragile anymore. It was steel. But then, I heard a voice I'd know anywhere. Ethan's. He was just behind the carved stone column near the side entrance. His words came in low, urgent whispers. Tessa, I told you. Just wait. After the ceremony, once Mom signs the transfer, we're gone. You and me. No more hiding. I froze. My blood ran cold. Tessa Monroe, his secretary, the girl I once thought was simply loyal to the business. His voice dropped again. Claire? She'll get her part in the divorce. She thinks she'll control everything. She has no idea. Neither does my mother. She always gives in. She'll never say no. He laughed softly. The same laugh Ethan had when he was a boy, building sandcastles by Oak Creek, calling me Mama. My nails dug into the Bible I held. Beside me, the stained glass windows glowed blue and red against my hands, like blood on snow. I didn't move. I didn't speak. I simply reached into my purse and pressed record. Then came another voice, sharp, hushed, dripping with venom. Claire. You better hope she signs today. $20 million, Ethan. After that, I'll quietly divorce you. I've already spoken to my lawyer. Half will be mine. And your mother? We'll put her in a private care home out of town. Somewhere quiet, far away. Laughter, bridesmaids, perfume, champagne. Everything smelled sweet, like poison. For a moment, I could hear only my heartbeat. Boom, boom, boom. I closed my eyes. No tears, no shaking, only clarity. They weren't just walking over me. They were planning burial. I stepped back into the pews before anyone saw me, my expression calm, face unreadable. Guests smiled as they passed. To them, I was still the proud mother of the groom. Inside, I was a storm. Somewhere in the distance, the church bells began to ring. The ceremony was about to begin. I ran my fingers over the silver wig lightly, not to check if it was perfect, but to remember the wound it hid. That wound was no longer a weakness. It was a weapon. The vows were about to begin. But so was the reckoning. And this time, I wouldn't be the one whispering in shadows. I would speak in front of everyone. The chapel doors opened slowly, and the music began. Soft violins echoing off sandstone walls. Guests rose, turning toward the entrance. Claire appeared in her lace gown, glowing like an angel carved from ivory. But I knew better. Angels don't carry scissors and perfume-scented cruelty. I sat motionless in the front pew, hands gently folded over my lap, the small voice recorder, still running, resting inside my clutch. The ceremony began. Ethan stood tall at the altar, dark suit perfectly pressed, eyes bright with pride. To the world, he looked like a devoted son and groom, but I could still hear his whisper from earlier. Once she signs, we're gone. No strings. The priest's voice rose. Love is patient. Love is kind. I almost laughed. Claire's eyes glistened as she took Ethan's hands. I promise to cherish you, stand by you, and honor our family. Always. Honor. My fingers curled into my palm. Now, Ethan, I vow to protect you, share my life with you, and never betray your trust. The words echoed around the chapel like broken glass. People sighed. Some dabbed at tears. I stared at my son, and for the first time, I did not recognize him. Then came the question, if anyone objects to this union, speak now, or forever hold your peace. For a moment, the world went silent. I could have stood then, exposed them, ended everything, but not yet. Victory without witnesses is just noise. I needed silence first. I needed the world to clap for their happiness, so the truth would hit harder. So I stayed seated. The priest smiled. Then, by the power vested in me, and just like that, they were husband and wife. Applause thundered. Ethan kissed Claire as cameras flashed. As they walked down the aisle, I stood. My smile was gentle, almost motherly. But inside, a lit fuse was burning. Golden lights glittered across crystal glasses. Rows of desert roses decorated every table, and champagne flowed like water in a canyon stream. Guests danced, laughed, toasted to forever. Claire looked ethereal beside Ethan, waving at relatives, basking in the glow of admiration. I waited. Finally, the host spoke into the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the groom's mother, Marianne Holloway, for her speech. Chairs turned, cameras lifted, people smiled warmly. I took my time walking to the stage. My heels clicked softly against polished marble. My pulse, steady. I stood beside Ethan and Claire, felt their nervous glances, raised my champagne glass. Thank you all for being here today, I began, to witness love, trust, and loyalty. A murmur of approval drifted across the crowd. For years I lived for my son. I worked through grief and hardship to build a life for him. Today, I was ready to give him a gift. $20 million. Gasps. Whispers. Ethan's eyes widened. Claire's fingers tightened around her glass. I smiled. It wasn't warm. But before I sign anything, I think everyone deserves to hear what love sounds like when no one is watching. I reached into my clutch. Clicked play, and Ethan's own voice filled the hall. Once she signs the transfer, we're gone. You and me, no more hiding. The ballroom fell silent. Someone dropped a glass. It shattered. I pressed the button again. $20 million, Ethan. After that, I'll divorce him. And your mother? We'll send her away, somewhere quiet. Claire's voice. Claire went pale. Ethan stepped forward, whispering, Mom? I didn't look at him. I faced the crowd. And now, the room held its breath. The bride trembled. The groom stared at me, pleading. But I wasn't done. I hadn't even started the fire yet. For a moment, no one moved. The ballroom, once glittering with laughter, fell into a suffocating silence. You could almost hear the desert wind dragging across the red rocks outside. Claire's painted smile collapsed. Her hands shook. Ethan stared at the ground as though it could swallow him whole. I stood at the center of the storm, calm, steady. The recording ended. Its final words. Send her away. Echoing through the speakers like a curse. For a moment, no one moved. The ballroom, once glittering with laughter, fell into a suffocating silence. You could almost hear the desert wind dragging across the red rocks outside. Claire's painted smile collapsed. Her hands shook. Ethan stared at the ground as though it could swallow him whole. I stood at the center of the storm, calm, steady. The recording ended. Its final words. Send her away. Echoing through the speakers like a curse. Someone whispered, Is this real? Another voice, sharp, answered, We heard it. Ethan stepped toward me, eyes frantic. Mom, please, it's not what you think. I didn't look at him. I lifted the note I found on my pillow, white cardstock, perfume-scented, elegant handwriting. Hope your new haircut matches your age. Enjoy my wedding. I held it up for everyone to see. Claire's lips parted, a quiet gasp breaking out of her. Marianne, someone planted. I turned to her slowly. Save it for the court. Her cheeks drained of color. The desert sun blazing through the ballroom windows hit her like a spotlight, exposing everything she'd tried to hide. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones began recording. A bridesmaid stepped back from Claire. An uncle whispered, That poor woman, while staring at me with new respect. But I wasn't finished. I placed the champagne glass down. My voice was steady. I cancel the $20 million gift. My will, effective tonight, removes Ethan Holloway and Claire Whitfield completely. Not a single acre, not a single dime, not a single key to the Holloway estate will belong to them. Ethan froze. Oh, Mom, you can't. I looked at him. Really looked. The boy who once clung to my hand at his father's funeral was gone. In his place stood a man who sold his soul for comfort and sold his mother for freedom. "I already did," I said softly. He flinched like I had struck him. Claire finally broke. "You ruined everything!" she screamed, lunging toward me. Before she could reach me, 2 groomsmen stepped in, restraining her. Her voice cracked, ugly and shrill. "You're a bitter old woman. You're jealous. This was my day." "No," I said quietly. "This was your unmasking." Guests shifted in their seats, stunned. Some walked out, some stared at me with awe, some with pity. I didn't need applause. I didn't need approval. I only needed the truth. Spoken out loud. I stepped away from the microphone. Ethan tried to stop me. "Mom, please, we can fix this." I looked at him one last time. "You had a mother who would have given you the world, and you chose to burn it." I walked toward the exit. No tears, no trembling hands. Behind me, arguments, sobbing, shattered glass, whispers, cameras flashing. Ahead of me, the doors of the ballroom opened to the blazing Sedona sky. Warm wind brushed across my face as I stepped outside. The scent of juniper, dust, and freedom filled my lungs. But this wasn't the end. It was only the first battle. By sunset, the wedding would be ashes, but by morning, my entire life would change forever. What I didn't know then was that someone was already waiting for me at home. By the time I reached home, the desert sun was sinking behind the red cliffs, casting long shadows across the quiet streets of Sedona. I expected silence. Instead, I saw a car parked in my driveway. Ethan's. My stomach tightened. He sat on the porch steps, tie undone, hair messy, face pale and streaked with sweat. The perfect groom was gone. What sat before me was a broken man. He stood as I approached, eyes red. "Mom, please, just let me explain. I know I hurt you. I know I failed." I unlocked the front door without looking at him. "You can come in, but understand, nothing you say will change the truth." He followed me into the living room, where the late sunlight spilled across the old photographs on the walls. Ethan as a toddler on my shoulders. Ethan holding his diploma. Ethan kissing my cheek on Christmas morning. Moments frozen in time. Moments that weren't lies. He stood there, shoulders heavy. "Claire's gone. Tessa blocked my number. Dad's friends won't even look at me. I have no one left." His voice cracked. "Except you." I turned toward him, slowly. "You had me, all your life, Ethan, and you traded me for money." Tears filled his eyes. He dropped to his knees like a child. "I don't want your money anymore. I want my mother back." My heart ached, but I did not break. I knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. Not gently, not cruelly, but firmly. "I forgive you, Ethan, but forgiveness is not a free pass. I won't let you live off me. I won't let you use me. If you want me in your life, stand on your feet and become a man, not a beggar." He looked at me, shattered. But something changed in his eyes. Pride? Shame? Maybe both. He nodded slowly. He left without another word. The door closed, and for the first time in my life, I felt light. Weeks passed. The wedding scandal spread through Sedona like wildfire. People whispered when I walked into town, but not out of mockery, out of respect. I sold my largest property, donated part of the money to a foundation, a grant for widows and single mothers starting businesses. The rest I placed in a new account. Not for Ethan, not for anyone. For me. I joined an art class at a small studio near Bell Rock. The instructor, Evelyn Mercer, placed a brush in my hand and said, paint the life you haven't lived yet." At first, my hands trembled. Then the colors came: soft blues, desert pinks, stormy grays, and one day, he arrived. Samuel Aldridge. A retired architect, quiet, silver hair, kind eyes. He noticed I always painted the ocean, though Sedona had none. "Oh, you don't paint what you see," he said one afternoon. "You paint what you miss." We talked. We walked under crimson sunsets. I didn't need saving. He didn't try to save me. He simply stayed, and that was enough. If you're hearing this, maybe you've been betrayed too. Maybe by a lover, a child, a family you bled for. Listen to me. You are not weak for loving them. You are only weak if you let them destroy you. Stand up. Speak the truth, even if your voice shakes. Especially then. My name is Marianne Holloway. I was a mother. I was broken. I was used. Now, I am free. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. More stories of strength, betrayal, and rebirth are on the way. Tell me in the comments, would you have exposed them or stayed silent?